Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Swipe Up 148. Is the episode that you are watching where I share some posts from Instagram and give my opinions on them. Usually like news, what's going on in the world, and other stuff. But let's get into it, shall we? With this first story, California becomes the first state to fund a guaranteed income program. $35 million plan approved by California lawmakers means qualifying expectant mothers and young adults who've recently left foster care will receive monthly cash payments. That's great. I mean, that's one of the things I would say is a blessing. I don't really use that word ever. But one of the positive aspects of living in California is the financial support that they have given the residents, especially during the pandemic, and especially when the federal government was pretending like the virus was fake, which I don't. It's crazy that at least everybody believes for the most part that it's real now. But they used to be they forget how just not that long ago they were brainwashed into believing it was not real at all. But anyway, kicking and screaming they will go into the future as we drag them. But California doing some great things, some things that I think our government should be doing federally. I think that all Americans should be benefiting from how successful giant corporations can be living and functioning within this country. And, billionaires that profit off of gigantic pandemics, global pandemics, maybe doing a little bit, giving a fraction of that money into pay a percentage more than poor people pay. Poor people pay more taxes than billionaires. It's insane. But yeah, I love seeing this, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it's successful. Hopefully they expand it. But, it's the extra money that they've put into the unemployment. They've been doing a lot of programs for doing a lot of things. I enjoy it. They're trying to recall Gavin Newsom for some reason. He's literally, I would say, done a good job. Now, did he go to a restaurant when he told everybody not to go places? Sure. A leader does differently than what they tell everybody else to do. That's kind of the most common hypocritical thing that leaders do is to not follow their own advice. So, okay, a big politician did it. Whatever. At least he was trying to do shit to make people safe in a pandemic where the federal government was doing nothing. But, there's a lot of conservatives out there that just they want to frame reality in a way that allows them to do nothing and care about nobody. So I hope Newsom I hope he stays. I'm perfectly fine. I mean, I don't think anybody else is going to do a better job. Not that I'm a fan of, all of the fracking that he's signed off on, even though it seems like that they've turned that around. I don't know. I just think I think that there's a lot of other states that are the people in Texas having the nerve to talk shit about California when your governor is fine with you killing each other off. You have politicians that go on vacation when you're in a complete power outage, and it's insane to think that the abuse that you take from your politicians is described and categorized as freedom. But let's move on to somebody else who values their freedom. This one is a COVID patient in Louisiana, says he'd opt for hospitalization again over a vaccine. I see posts daily on social media of these right-wing conspiracy theory. Actually, let's just call them right-wing conservatives, right? Because the conspiracy thing is just, I mean, that's just kind of their group. Whether I'm sure there's people that just love the racism aspect of it, or they love the idea of not having to pay taxes, like they think they're going to be billionaires. Like there's a lot of other delusional beliefs that would entice somebody to want to be a conservative and to adopt all of the disgusting baggage that comes along with that party affiliation. But despite the fact that there's people turning around and understanding that the vaccine is legit, that COVID is a bastard to deal with, and to I mean, a lot of people dying too. You see that almost daily. Like somebody who is an anti-vaxxer, anti-masker, denier of disease, whatever it be, dying of COVID. There's stories like this guy who got COVID, and he's at some point he was damaged. Maybe he's got daddy issues. He thinks that like putting himself through pain is somehow like makes him a better human, makes him a better quote unquote man, makes him manlier. He's going on bro science. Listen to a few too many Joe Rogan Experience episodes. It's ridiculous. It's sad that like people like this are given medical treatment. Like it should be. I mean, there's a lot. I haven't been to a doctor in over a decade. No health insurance. Like if I get sick, I'm probably dead. But this motherfucker lives, and he doesn't even believe in the medicine that allows him to still be here. It's ridiculous that the people that don't value medicine are able to acquire it, and yet this motherfucker right here has no access. It's a bummer. I mean, and some of that's on me. I could sign up for state things. I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, stupid people like being hospitalized for COVID's not enough for you to get a vaccine that does nothing. I mean, it makes you feel, for some people, makes you feel a little like shit for a day. But when you're already fragile enough, you're such a fragile human being that the idea of putting cloth over your face destroys your whole being, your whole universe. Like if you can't handle putting cloth over your face in order to like help people around you be safe, like if that's too much, it's like they pretend like this is like being indestructible, like human being smarts by like, oh, I'd rather get sick than do anything to prevent being sick. Whatever. It's a lot of this. If we had good education for the last 3-4 decades instead of deteriorating education, which is another thing conservatives are super stoked about doing these days, is just eliminating any kind of reference to any bad thing that had happened, so we can just repeat that again. They really want to repeat that again. It seems like that they're gearing up to repeat history. Like instead of Germany, the dictator's going to be in the United States, and they want to do everything to facilitate that future. I don't know. Education. We need, like, being educated and doing research doesn't mean that you watched a bunch of YouTube videos of people that use big words. They use big words. They talk about real things. They like bring up a real topic and maybe some details about that topic. but then their reasoning and the way they frame it and the way they sell it to themselves and to everybody else is made up bullshit. Like they connect dots with yarn that doesn't exist, and it's ridiculous. But let's move on to some good news, shall we? A little bit of good news. The Cleveland Indians, a baseball team, so it's a sport that I don't care about, a state I'm not a big fan of, and but at least a bit of racism is gone, and it's better than Washington. They went from the Indians. They went to just the football team. At least like Cleveland came up with something, and they did it in a way to where they can use a lot of the same words that were in Indians, and they changed it to Guardians. And of course, conservatives, their fragile egos. No, I want to have caricatures of like racist depictions of Native Americans, the people that we slaughtered and took their lands. Like, why can't we make fun of them? It's part of my tradition of watching a sport so boring that commentators could literally talk about other sports while nothing happens on the baseball field. Yeah, it's really amazing the things that people get angry at these days. And anybody getting angry at the Cleveland Indians changing them to the Guardians is just somebody that's a level of racist that like they probably say they say they're not racist. They're probably somebody that says on a regular basis, I'm not racist, but and then they'd be like, I miss my shitty sport team, local sports team. I hate that it's no longer this racist thing anymore. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm surprised Disney doesn't sue them, because they used a word that I'm sure is part of a phrase that Disney owns. But anyway, Cleveland Guardians are the new baseball team in Cleveland. Woo for baseball! Baseball! I wonder how many. I'm not obviously into sports at all, but I'd be curious to know how many more sports teams there are, because I know that at least 2 teams now, right? Different sports. I'm sure there's probably more in the NFL, probably more in baseball. What other sports are there? Basketball is probably okay. I don't think there's anything offensive in basketball, right? That was created newer. I don't know. But yeah, good on Cleveland for doing that. That's, it's nice to see like small progress, little steps here and there, right? Like you see a Confederate monument being taken down, little step. You see the Indians turn to the Guardians, little step. You see whatever the fuck Washington football team was named before becoming the Washington football team. Little steps. It's not like an overhaul of the system. Little steps. That's what they want. They don't want big steps. Big steps rock the boat. You don't want to rock the boat. You want to stay grounded. Let's move on. Unlike billionaires these days who want to be up in the clouds, up in the sky, talk about Richard Branson last week. And this week, it's Jeff Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos, you did it, right? Jeffrey Bezos and like 3 other people. I thought it was just going to be him and another person, but apparently it was 3 other people. There was an old lady, it was like 82-year-old lady, who was the oldest lady to go into quote-unquote space. I saw a little clip on TikTok of somebody who is an actual... I don't know if they worked for NASA or what they worked for, but they seemed to know what they were talking about. And they were talking shit about how everybody's going crazy about these billionaires going to quote-unquote space. But the reality is that it's not like they're going to the moon. They're like going as high as they possibly can to be identified and defined as quote unquote space as they can get without actually going to space. I forget which layer that guy said it was of the atmosphere that they're going to, but it is like the weakest. That's like somebody who did a one open mic and calls himself a headlining comedian. It's like, well, you did the closest thing that could possibly be defined as a headlining, like you were on stage, you did do comedy, maybe you're the last one up at the open mic, so you closed out the show, which is typically a headlining spot, but you're not. It's like a convenient way to frame reality to make it sound more important. And that's what all these people are doing. And it's even more ridiculous that Jeffrey Bezos' spaceship looks like just a giant dick, or a vibrator, the Yama Kawasaki Tamaguchi. I forget the brand name, the vibrator that women love to use. It looks like one of those, too. I mean, like so much like a giant, and the fins even look like little balls, like tiny little balls. Like this is a spaceship penis that took so much steroids that the balls almost fell off. They're just like little droplets at the bottom of the shaft. But yeah, clearly more than any other spaceship, I'm sure, looks. I mean, it's got the bell head. That probably, design-wise, made that less aerodynamic. But we need to have the ridge around that mushroom top. It's a spaceship, Jeffrey. Right? Didn't you always want to be called Richard growing up? Now you get to ride a dick instead of being one. I don't know. Blue Origin is the name of it. Whatever. So I guess Elon Musk is last. He was the other one. Like, I didn't even know Richard Branson was in the race. Jeffrey Bezos obviously can't stop talking about it. I think they also sent up like the youngest kid too. Anyway, let's move on to the last story. A bit of potential news. The Pentagon inches towards letting AI control weapons. I mean, the headline alone makes me think of Terminator 2 music. Dun 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 clank clank. Dun 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 clank clank. Right? Like, I mean, the idea, first off, there's probably some branding going on. Like, AI is, I don't know how much of an AI is AI. Like, it's still being designed by somebody. But yeah, it's like, what if the AI realizes that, just, let's say, we get another insane person like Trump in office. Or the previous insane person that nobody seems like. Everybody seems to love this guy, George W. Bush, who started all these wars on false pretenses. We were literally attacked by an invading terrorist group, not just domestic terrorists, which he probably created in a lot of ways in addition to the Twin Towers falling. But like, people talk about George W. Bush with these rose-colored glasses, but his 8 years of presidency wasn't that much crazier than Trump. Both have an inability to speak clearly on a microphone, yet somehow, like, conservatives love them. They love them. Maybe it's because they speak at an intelligence level that they can relate to. I don't know. But get another one of those wackadoodles in. Like, imagine if Marjorie Taylor Greene became president, and we have this kind of technology. Man, the people that would be targeted for that. Like, I would probably be targeted for wearing this Tiger Belly shirt because it's an Asian-based podcast. And even though Bobby Lee's Korean and Kalila's Filipina, it's close enough to China in their viewpoint of ignorant racism in the conservative party that, yeah, just wearing the shirt, I'd probably be a target of their AI drones. I don't know. This doesn't seem good. Like, AI, still pretty new. Pretty new. Being used for a lot of different things. But I don't know if, like, giving them the trigger to pull is a good idea. Maybe it's better than the humans that we have in charge now. I don't know. But I'm a little skeptical. Like, have we ironed out, like, AI delivering packages yet? Can we use AI to vote more, like, to authenticate human beings to vote? Like, can we use AI to, like, improve life in some way as opposed to using AI to end human life in some way? Because that's what the military is paid for. Seemingly also, that is seemingly what the police are paid for, to murder people. That's what costs so much money in this country, are police and the military, and they are there to kill people. You know, I mean, in the military, you have other jobs. Maybe you're, working on the engines of the vehicles that transport people that kill people. But you're part of the system. Like if McDonald's was designed to kill people, then the people that clean the toilets at McDonald's, I would say, have a little bit of blood on their hands for working at a corporation that kills people. Now, technically, McDonald's, in a roundabout way, can kill people. You eat it too much, long term. It's not like a bullet. Takes a little bit longer than a bullet to kill you, but it can be done. They can facilitate that ending for you. But yeah, anyway, the Pentagon inching, and it's like, okay, well, if they do go to AI, does that mean we get to cut all the budgets? Because artificial intelligence don't require a salary or a pension or anything like that. But I have a feeling that's just another excuse to throw more taxpayer money at things that are designed to eliminate human life, which I do not agree with. Let's do some shout outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout out to LA Times, shout out Dave_Anthony_, shout out ABC News, shout out NPR, shout out Wired, and most importantly, shout out to you. Get yourself some amazing coffee over at stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. That's your place for small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, shipped directly to you. Go now to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some amazing coffee. And don't forget to follow Station House Coffee. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!